December of 2019, I pulled up the best podcast episode I have ever listened to. It was called How You and Your Family Can Live a Richer Story in 2020. The episode began with the host asking the audience, what if your family were on a mission together? In a time where we are all distracted, we're all staring at our phones, mom and dad are both having to work, the kids often find themselves as characters without a narrative. Even though I don't have kids, I instantly knew the host was speaking about me and my family. I felt that we were floating in a narrative void like characters living in a story without any meaning or purpose. I felt that so much of life was just happening to me versus me being the hero of my own story. I felt like chronic illness was robbing me of being able to have a mission and a purpose. But this episode, which I highly, highly recommend listening to the full podcast episode, it'll be in the description below. This episode made me feel like I could be the hero in my own story. And it might look different than other people and the way they live on mission and they accomplish their goals, but I knew I could still do that in spite of having chronic illness. So take heart, friend, because you can also be the hero in your own story, even with chronic illness. Here's how. The first step to writing your own story is to figure out what you're living for. And I know that's kind of a huge question. So here are some better sub-questions. What gets you out of bed in the morning? What just lights you up when you get to do that thing? Or it could be multiple things. What are the things that make you come alive and they just don't feel like work? Hours could just go by and you're like, whoa, I just dove headfirst into this thing. What interests or skill sets are you gifted with? I think somewhere in the middle of all of that is where we find our purpose. If you're also someone that's pursuing a relationship with Christ, we have a pretty obvious earthly purpose to help others find and follow Christ while we ourselves try to love and become more like him. But there are literally so many different ways to do that, so we have to get more specific. I'll share what I mean. It became pretty evident to Sam and I after everything that I and we had been through with my health and that journey. It became evident that our family existed to facilitate healing. The world is a very broken place, and there's so much hurting right now. As we were thinking through our unique experiences as individuals and together, we just felt so deeply that there was this problem in the world. We feel like there are not enough safe spaces that exist so that people can just be. They can just exhale and be themselves and be authentic and without fear of any judgment. And that feeling of being able to exhale and be authentic and be yourself, that leads to so much healing and so much life change, and there's just not enough of that. So, in the very best, most imperfect way that we know how, our family tries our best to offer that to other people, whether virtually, like I'm talking to you right now, or if we host people in our home, or whatever the case may be. We want everybody that we encounter to feel safe when they meet us, and we want to facilitate more healing as a family. This may look completely different for you as an individual or as a family. You may have completely different interests and skill sets and experiences that lead you to want to tackle different problems in the world. Highly recommend going back to that podcast episode because he gets into the nitty-gritty of exactly how you can design this family mission or vision together. But what's so beautiful and amazing once you have a vision for you and your family, is that it is this like driving force that is moving you guys forward, and a lens through which you can now filter all your decisions. And my gosh, this is so important because we all need a greater sense of purpose to find meaning in our lives and find something to look forward to or work towards. And even if you're not exactly sure how you're gonna make this happen, maybe you're thinking about your limitations with chronic illness, just write it down anyway. This is a lifelong thing that you're working towards. And you certainly don't need to be in perfect health to just start walking towards that. So, once you identify your family's vision or mission, that might feel really exciting, but you might be like, what is that supposed to look like in the day-to-day? Around the same time that I listened to this life-changing podcast, I was introduced to a form of goal setting called objectives and key results, or OKRs, as I'm going to refer to them for the duration of this video. OKRs are different than any other type of goal setting I've seen, and hopefully you'll see why I love this method so much as we dive into how to do this. You're especially gonna love this if you have chronic illness. But I've tweaked this process a bit to make it more doable in your personal life. So here's how to use OKRs to move forward towards your purpose. So the first thing you're gonna wanna do is pull up a notebook, or I just have the Notes app open here on my computer. You can do this on your phone. Is just write down every major area of your life. So I'm gonna give you some examples here. We might want to write down spiritual, marriage and family, we've got health, we've got financial, we've got community, super important. And I kind of lump like home / personal, homemaking into one category. If you feel that there are more categories than this, go for it, but this usually gets the job done for us. We're just gonna list them out into the different categories that sort of fit your lifestyle. Now, once you got these categories going, the next thing we want to do is we want to take a look at each area of our life, and you can set a timer if you want here and just dedicate maybe like 10 minutes to each section, and you can go over this by yourself, or you and your spouse, or you and your family, and you are just going to write down the things that you either want to start doing in that area of your life, the things you want to change and do differently, and the things you want to stop doing in that area of your life. You can also just dump whatever idea you have if it doesn't fit within the start, change, or stop ideas. I do want to give you a couple of examples because we do want to get kind of specific here, because obviously we look at something like the health column, and if you have chronic illness, we don't totally have full control over that. So for these categories, we really want to focus on things that are within our control. So some examples. So we're kind of looking at the health column, and maybe the first thing that pops into my mind might be I feel like I'm not super supported in my health journey, and so I might want to write that down. Some other things might be like, maybe I feel that finances are holding me back from treatments I need. Maybe I'm not getting super great sleep right now. Maybe I don't have super great sleep hygiene, or I'm kind of in a stressful situation. Whatever is going on in your life that's at least kind of within your control, write it all down on your board. And remember, these don't just have to be problems. So I'm gonna put some examples here on the screen so you can kind of just see how this goes. This is not the place where we're problem solving. This is the place where we are just almost taking like an audit of our lives and each area, and kind of just thinking, what's going on in each area? What am I happy with? What am I not? We're not saying that we're gonna focus on all of these areas of our lives at the same time. This is just an overall view of kind of just what is going on. So really take as much time as you need to do this. Give this a good, honest, thought over, because the more honest you can be with yourself or with your family, the better you're going to be able to change your life and the things you're not super happy with. Once we've taken our time to do that, we've got a massive list of these areas of our lives and these things that we want to see changed or start doing or stop doing. This is probably the hardest part of this process, and that's really getting to the heart of the matter. And what I mean by that is taking a good long look at this list of each area in your life that you've written down and just see if you notice, is there a common theme among the different areas of your life? Are you noticing patterns across these? Like, for example, is one piece of your life affecting this other piece of your life? Like, is debt holding you back from being able to quit your job, give generously, or seek a treatment that would make you feel better? Is a lack of community and loneliness making it hard to care about anything, let alone the other areas of your life? Is your relationship with the Lord pouring into the other areas of your life, whether for good or bad? Would learning to trust the Lord and have faith again completely transform your heart and the way you see your life? What is the one thing that if you focused on that thing for a quarter, for 3 months, that would transform a lot of the other areas of your life? Sometimes there is 1 to 2 things, but for the most part, especially if you're doing this as a family, I typically recommend one thing, and then each family member can have kind of their own little personal OKR goal that they've set. This will take a little bit of time and discussion, but usually there's a pretty clear answer where it's like a domino effect. If you could change this thing in your life, a lot of the other things would begin to fall into place. Even if we can't totally get there in 1 quarter, we can at least start the work to have that domino effect. So whenever you figure out the answer to this question, that is the goal that you should move forward with, because you're looking to make the most impact by changing one thing. And then once we have that, all my type A people are rejoicing, because then it is time to plan it out. And we're gonna do this kind of in 2 different phases, so stick with me for a second. So like I said, OKRs take place over the course of a quarter, so 3 months. So usually the best time to do this is at the end of the current quarter, so usually like the end of March, the end of June, the end of September, the end of December. Obviously you can do this whenever you want to. There's no rule that says you can't do this mid-quarter. But once you're ready to finally start creating your OKRs, I typically, like I said, recommend one kind of family one that everyone can contribute on, and then each person having their own personal OKR within that. If you're single and it's just you, I probably recommend the same, maybe like 1 to 2, or 1 if it just feels like that's gonna be a pretty big thing for you to accomplish in the quarter. But definitely don't do more than 2 to 3, because we don't wanna pull focus away from the thing that's gonna make the most impact for us. So once we are ready to create our first OKR, you're gonna wanna start with the objective. And the way that I like to describe the objective is it's kind of like this big, fancy statement that's like inspirational almost. It's the thing that you want to be true at the end of the quarter. So we are not getting into tasks yet and how we're gonna do it. This is just, what do I want to feel, or what do I want to be true at the end of the quarter? So some examples could be something like, I want to have a rock solid systems in place in the home and life to help me manage my life and energy better. If that were true at the end of the quarter, if I can manage my life and energy better, it would improve all these other things. Or maybe you want to create more safety in your life to optimize your nervous system healing. We want to heal a little faster. We want to aid our nervous systems. So I want to feel just really safe by the end of the quarter, and like I'm able to heal a little bit better than I was at the start of the quarter. Or maybe you are married and you and your spouse have talked about getting to the point where you don't have to work so that you can focus on just your health and healing chronic illness. And so maybe we want to create the opportunity for you to quit work and solely focus on healing. You know, we may not be there by the end of the the 3 months, but we at least want to get the ball rolling to create the opportunity for that to be possible. And again, we're not getting into tasks just yet. This is just, man, what do we want to be true at the end of that quarter? This is super important because life's just gonna happen. The weeks are gonna go by, the days are gonna get crazy, you've got other stuff going on, and this objective is the thing, like the inspirational thing you can look to and go, this is why I'm doing this. This is why these tasks exist, because it's gonna get me here to this feeling or this change in my life, in our lives. So again, take the time to sit with this, to discuss it, to wordsmith it until it feels just right and inspirational and everything that you need it to be. And I know it's kind of hard, especially if it's like the first time that you're doing it, but I feel like this is the kind of work that sets apart goals that'll actually get done versus just writing it down and then forgetting that it ever existed. So put some emotion, put some meaning behind the objective, and then when you're done, we'll get into the key results. So once everybody has their objectives, you are now ready to get into key results. And now this is your how-to. This is how you're gonna accomplish the objective. Key results, typically you want them to be measurable somehow so that you can know, all right, this has been completed. So we typically want to have a date on them, a number, a percentage, or just some way that they're measurable. This is going to be a little bit harder if you're doing this in a personal setting versus a professional setting, but it's still possible. So hang with me. So let's look back to some of those examples I gave when we said we want to create the opportunity for you to quit your job so that you can really focus on healing. Maybe some of the ways we can do that, let's say you got a pretty big car payment, and let's say maybe there's like $2 grand left on the car. So you can put down, we want to pay off the car by June 30th because we know that if we had that money coming back in our pocket, that would provide a greater opportunity for me to be able to stay home. So we might write that down. Maybe we want to meet with a financial advisor by April 30th, no later than April 30th. Maybe we want to start a high yield savings account so that we can get a little more out of our savings. Maybe you're a really skilled artist and you could create some sort of digital art piece that you could just make and put on Etsy or sell it somewhere, and that would be just a great way for you to make some passive income so that eventually you can quit your job. There's a ton of things you could write here. It's really gonna be unique to you guys or to you and your situation, but the point is, are these things, are these key results actually going to achieve the objective at the end of the quarter? That's gonna be up to you and your life coach, you and your family, but you do wanna get realistic, get specific, get measurable. But the thing I love about this goal setting system so much is that it does give you these specific attainable goals versus just saying you want to do something and then writing it down and forgetting about it. Because you have 3 months, it gives you the opportunity to do what you can when you can. So if you have a flare day, it's not the end of the world if you didn't exercise 3 times a week. And here's a secret for you. Even if you don't get any of the key results done, but you do get the objective done, you still did an awesome job because you completed your goal. Kind of like math. Doesn't really matter how you got to the answer as long as you got to the answer. And the last little tidbit on my list is to know when it's time to seek outside help on your goals or just, I guess, in life, because everybody's situation looks so different. I even have such a hard time making videos because I can't possibly speak to every single person in every situation. I just want to encourage you to seek outside help when and if you can. For example, like I said earlier, I'm sure like many of you, my husband and I are in this cycle of like, it's difficult for me to work because I'm chronically ill, and you know, you're paying for everything out of pocket, doing your best to pay off your debt, save where you can, and life just happens. There's ER trips and surgery and unexpected things come up. And it's to the point for Sam and I where like something like Financial Peace University, it doesn't work for us in our situation because I can't work myself into the ground. Sam can't work himself any more than he already is, and I need his help, like he caretakes for me. We have got to get more creative about how we have financial peace and our financial health. And so part of what we've chosen to do this quarter is to meet with a financial advisor who can help us think through those things and get more creative and just find a better way to live than kind of how we're currently living. And you know, it is really easy and often tempting for me to just want to complain and like give up because all of this is really hard. But I'd much rather focus my very limited energy on actually doing things within my control and to seek to think on what is good, like Philippians 4:8 says. I really hope this method encourages you and helps you and your family move forward with purpose and excitement for the days to come. And if you feel more overwhelmed than excited by the idea of working towards something or setting goals right now, that is totally valid. Sometimes we just need a season to be, and we're not working on anything at all, and that's fine. If that's the case, I actually have a stretching video I think you'd really like if you're just trying to focus on being all chill and calm and peaceful. So if you need that, I will put that right here on the screen. We can go do some deep breaths and stretch together over there. But I also wanted to create this because even if it's just something small, sometimes it's very powerful to have some sort of purpose or something you're working towards. So I do hope it helps. Thanks so much for watching, friend. I will see you so soon.